if you're passing the torch to Daniel Bryan, why in the world would you take so much of that?
Because they weren't. They weren't, bro. That was done 100% by design. They gave it to the people because that's what the people wanted, but the company was not behind it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's shoot from the hip. The Undertaker saying that Roman Reigns should have ended the streak.
Yeah.
Does not believe that Brock Lesnar was the right choice. He doesn't believe that Brock Lesnar needed to end the streak. I thoroughly agree with that, by the way. He said that I don't know what Brock needed that win. I don't know that Brock needed that win. I just wish Reigns may have been first. So, EC3, do you agree with Taker's sentiments here as far as Roman Reigns being the one to break the streak?
Yeah, I agree 100% based on the person who cultivated and developed that body of work to say it. Like, I'm not going to argue the man who lived it, but I also do believe it. Like, learning the art of promoting and booking, I remember when that took place. And there was somebody that quoted Vince McMahon who said, "It's not about the guy who beats the guy. It's about the guy who beats the guy that beat the guy." And I never understood that. I tried to think about it. I tried to put depth behind it, but it doesn't make sense to me. The torch passing should and always be from the legend to the next guy. And that definitely should have been Roman. I'm not saying Brock wasn't worth leading streak, nor should he have not, but I think to have that first, to be the first one, that was such a big deal. As shocking as it was, as much fun as we had with the guy with the face, like I think that's the one thing that would have solidified Roman as who he is in this spot now, totally across the board. Because I don't want to say it feels forced and artificial, it's not, but with that win, with that caveat, I think he is the guy. So,
to your point, EC3, I've thought about this angle too. A lot of people don't talk about this angle, but I think this angle is really, really important when it comes to this discussion. Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker took a lot of win away from Daniel Bryan winning the main event. A lot of times people, because when you think of WrestleMania that year, you think of The Undertaker losing to Brock Lesnar. Yes. Hey, guess what? At the end of the show, like the show was basically written and navigated with Daniel Bryan beating Triple H in the beginning of the show, getting into the main event, and then winning the main event. Yes, it was a feel good moment at the end of the show, but why take so much of that out by having The Undertaker losing at WrestleMania? So if you want to talk about passing the torch, if you're passing the torch to Daniel Bryan, why in the world would you take so much of that?
Because they weren't. They weren't, bro. That was done 100% by design. They gave it to the people because that's what the people wanted, but the company was not behind it. Because, Chris, they're smarter than that, because exactly what you're saying, bro, they knew that. They knew that 1,000%. And, bro, that's probably the sole reason why they did it. They knew that, bro.
Talk about sabotaging your product for your
Absolutely, though. But they do it, bro. That's what they do.
Playing God's cool, but play God good. You give the people what they want, but don't give them like a half-assed version of it. Go all in.
Yeah.
I was just watching that match, and like the Triple H Daniel Bryan opening match was like such a good match.
Mm-hmm.
Dare I say it's a 5-star match?
Oh, dare I say it's 7?
I don't know about that. Two, in the theory or the possibility of what Uncle Vince is saying is true, that show did open with a giant in-ring segment with The Rock, Stone Cold, and Hulk Hogan too, if I'm not mistaken. So talk about double taking the wins out of Daniel Bryan's, sales. Opening match, first thing they're going to see on WrestleMania is Triple H and Daniel Bryan, and he wins. That place would have been electric. But then
Absolutely.
you have the Hogan promo, you have like all these giant stars, big pop, big pop, big pop. It was so natural and they wanted it so much, but like you can only drain the people of so much before they're just going to be giving you that indifference and like, I mean, I'm happy, but I can't really show it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that it really drained a lot of the. You really, it was an organic moment for Daniel Bryan. The fans is what caused Daniel Bryan to even be in that position in the first place. You know, it was organic. You really were going to have Batista versus Randy Orton as the main event for that WrestleMania.
I believe Vince is
and fans were not buying that one iota. And throwing Daniel Bryan in there does create a fresh face, an opportunity to really develop a star and pass the torch. Yeah. And what you do is you have Brock Lesnar, an established star, a veteran, beat the Undertaker, a veteran. No passing of the torch there, but it just sucked the life from the audience. It was just for the sake of shock factor, nothing else. And you shocked so much away that it diluted so much of Daniel Bryan's win. Just imagine that didn't happen. Just imagine the Undertaker beating Brock Lesnar. That would have been a really good moment because that all would have been paving the way, having the fans, have those feel-good moments to culminate with Daniel Bryan taking the show and having the moment instead of it being forgettable in so many conversations.
And like real fast, I was listening, I think it was JR's podcast. He's talking about Austin 99 today. They're talking about Austin Michaels and Shawn Michaels saying like in the match he was injured, WrestleMania 14, they're talking about making it a three-way and, even injured, he's like, no. WrestleMania main event, it has to be a singles match. Like that's what we build towards.
Yeah.
So even making it a three-way is kind of diluting it. It's like everything they could possibly throw against what the people wanted. We're still going to give it to you, but it's going to kind of like taste bad. We have the best recipe in the world that you want so bad. We're just going to add a few more ingredients to it, and there you go. Enjoy. I don't care.
Yeah, and it was a last-minute change, if I recall. Like, Taker was supposed to beat Brock that night, and Vince just, 11th hour, just changed the finish. And Taker was like, "You sure about that?" Like he was just kind of like, "Oh, are you sure?" Like, and Vince was adamant about changing the finish. And he was interviewed at Austin, Taker was interviewed a bunch of times. To this day, there's not really a legitimate, understandable, justifiable reason of why that finish was changed. It was just on the whim for shock value. And to your theory, Vince,
absolutely
that adds to the fact that these fans aren't going to get there.
There are many more levels to it than that, because it really tells you too about how the veterans felt about that new school. Did Taker and Lesnar, object enough for it not to happen? No, it happened, bro. They agreed with it. All that, bro, speaks absolute volumes, bro.
Really interesting. Yeah, very interesting theory there.